Hi guys, our topic for today is equations to tables to graphs. So before last class, in the class before that, we were working on having a graph with a line on it, okay? And then we were working to write the equation, okay? So now we're gonna work backwards. Our focus is going to be on the equation, filling in the table, and then from the table being able to produce what the graph or the line will look like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to grab your journal so we can take some notes real quick, and then we'll move on to our Jamboard. Okay, so make sure you put today's date on there, 9/15, or 16 if you're B-Day. Okay, your title is Equations to Tables to Graphs. Okay, and in our notes, all we're going to do is draw an example of each one and then do one example together by hand. Then we'll move on to do everything online. Okay, so an example of our equation, or what we've been writing, is y is equal to mx plus b. Right, we're circling our slope and putting a box on our intercept. Okay, we are starting with the problem looking like this, starting as an equation, right? We are going to convert that to a table. When my table is vertical, right, it is tall up and down. My x is on the left, my y is on the right, and then it's filled in with numbers on each column. Okay, remember when you write a point from here, let's say my x was 1 and my y was 2, when I write an ordered pair, it would be 1, 2. Okay, if your table was turned sideways and it looks like your table is laying down this time, right? Your X column this time is on the top, your Y is on the bottom. So if my point was 2, 1 this time, if I'm writing it as an ordered pair, we need to make sure that we still keep X first and then Y. Okay? And then from a table, we should be able to produce our graph. And it's just a sketch of the graph of a coordinate plane, right? So make sure you have your X labeled, your Y-axis labeled, that you've got a minus sign and a plus sign. The example that we worked on together in class was example 1 from our Jamboard, but we did it on paper first just so we could understand the process. Okay, we only filled in the first 2 numbers on our table. Okay, so the equation that we're using is y is equal to 3x. Okay, if we draw ourselves a little table, remember we're only going to put 2 numbers in there. So x, y, we're going to use -2 and -1. Okay, x is my input. Y would be our output, or the answer that we get right after we input the x value into our equation. Okay, so I'm going to write it out over here on the side of the process that I'm doing. Okay, so we keep the y equals. The 3 is going to stay the same, but this time I am plugging in a -2 wherever my x should be. So instead of writing x again, I'm going to write -2 this time. If you notice, I drew parentheses because anytime we have a number next to a letter, the operation is multiplication. Okay, so when we get down here and we plug that number in, we have to remember that our operation was multiplication. Okay, so 3 times a -2 is -6. Since that is your output, that becomes your new y value. Okay, so we're going to do the same process. Y is equal to 3 times, instead of the letter x, instead of the -2, I have a new x value. See right here, -1. So 3 times -1 is equal to -3. Since that is my answer, my output, it goes right here under my y column. Okay, so once we have our table filled out, we're going to go do our graph now. So once you have your graph, make sure you have it labeled X, Y. You've got a minus sign and a plus sign. Make 6 tallies to each direction. Okay, so if I go plot -2, -6, right, because this can be written as a point. Forgot that step. -2, -6, and then -1, -3. So I'm going to go plot that first point. -2, -6, -1, -3. So once we have two points, we connect them with a straight line going through, and we're done. After we were done taking notes, we went to Google Classroom and we opened up the Jamboard that is dated 9/15 if you're an A day, or dated 9/16 if you are a B day. And it is equations to graphs. So let me click. Let's go to Jamboard real quick. Okay, since this is the same equation that we did by hand, the first 2 x values are the ones that we solved for. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my answers, or my output that I got right here. -6 and a -3. Okay, remember we even created those points. They were -2, -6. And then our next one was -1, -3. Okay, from right here to fill in the rest of the table, I'm going to direct you to Google Classroom to open up your Desmos calculator. So guys, remember the calculator that we should be picking is the graphing. So if you click the link in Google Classroom, it goes to graphing calculator, start practice, and here we are in Desmos. Okay, so we're going to type in our full equation. Y is equal to 3x. Okay, it shows me a picture of my graph, of my line. It's hard to tell what my points are just by looking at it, okay? I can try to go find a good point by zooming in or out, right? So I do know that my intercept should be 0, 0, okay? But if we click this little, it looks like a wheel, right? If we click that, the equation that we just input right here, y equals 3x, and we press convert to table, it gives me what my table should be, okay? It plots the points for me, and it has the line still on our picture. So we figured out the first two, -2, -6, -1, -3. So let's go fill in the rest of the table. 0, 0. Okay, so we had 0, 0, so I'm going to go put that. Okay, my next one was 1, 3. So 1, 3. And then my last one was 2, 6. So 2, 6. Okay, so once I have my table filled out, I can go write my coordinates, right? So 0, 0. 1, 3, 2, 6. Okay, so once we have our ordered pairs, we can go plot them on our graph. Okay, so negative 2, 6. That's where we estimated in our sketch, right? Negative 1, negative 3. 0, 0. 1, 3. 2, 6. So 2, 6. Okay, once you have your points plotted, you can connect them by making a straight line through them. We're not going to judge because I know it's hard to draw on there. Okay? But what I want you to look at, guys, is the equation that we started with, right? If you notice, you've got 3 as your slope. And right here, you see this blank space? Remember I told you if it was plus 0, we could leave it off? So if we leave it off, that means that my b should be 0, right? Plus 0. If we look at our picture, look here. It is touching the y-axis at 0, right? So my b is correct. If we look at our slope, 3, right? That means that I should be rising 3. If it doesn't have a run, I give it a 1. So I want it to have rise over run. I want to make it rise over run, okay? So if we go make our little triangle between any 2 points, right? I'm going to pick this one only because my line is better drawn right here. I'm going to say up 3, run 1. So let's count our arches just to be sure. 1, 2, 3 arches. 3 over 1, there is my slope right here. Good. We're going to do the next example together, and then I would like you to complete slides 4 and 5 using your Desmos calculator. Okay, so we're going to take our equation right here, y equals 2x plus 3, and we're going to go plug it into our Desmos calculator. You should already have it open. So y is equal to 2x plus 3. Okay, if you notice, my b is 3, so my line should be touching the y-axis at 3, which it is. And my slope is 2, so that means that I should be going up 2 to the 4 to the 5 and over 1 time. And I should be landing at a good point on my line. Okay, just to double check, let's hit enter, press the pinwheel, let's convert to table. Here is the table filled out for me. So I'm going to go and take these values and put them into my Jamboard. So let's see if we can remember. Negative 2, negative 1. Sorry, guys, I didn't need the negative 2. I start with negative 1, 1. And then look right here. They're 1, 3, 5, and 7. So let's go transfer them to our table. So negative 1 was 1. Then it was 3, 5, 7, and 9. Okay, so if you notice, I made the ordered pairs already. I'm going to go and plot them on my graph. Negative 1, 1, 0, 3, 1, 5, 2, 7, and 3, 9 is off my graph, but that's okay. We can use the other points. We're going to connect them with a straight line going through them. Okay, if we look at our equation, right, my slope is 2. It doesn't have a run, right, so I give it a 1. My b should be 3. So we go to our graph. You see how my y-axis, my point is on the 3. Good. I should be rising 2 and running 1 to get to a new good point. And I do. So we are done. Make sure you go and finish. I said 4 and 5. I'm sorry. I meant slide 3 and 4.